Portuguese lineup, which is unchanged from their standard lineup, which is the lineup they used in 3 of their 4 games so far. They let up a bit in their 3rd game against Korea and made a number of changes. On the other hand, Australia make 2 changes forced upon them by tactics and by circumstance. As you probably heard, in Australia, Tony Popovic has come in for Robert Stojcevski in the left back role, and George Soros will partner David Seal up front for Australia, which means that Robert Stojcevski is out because of that stomach virus, and Chris Trajanovski is on the bench today for the Australians. And we're away in the 1991 World Youth Championship semi-final. The other semi-final, of course, won earlier today very comfortably by Brazil. So the winner of this match will be meeting the most aristocratic country in the history of international football in the final on Sunday. The 2 losers, of course, to play off in the 3rd place playoff in Porto on Saturday. The Australians in possession. That's Popovic inside to his skipper, Paul Ocock. Quite a strong breeze blowing across the park from our right to left. But a very pleasant evening, about 22 degrees, as João Pinto is caught in a sandwich and a free kick given against Australia. Rui Bento. Across to Peixe. Paulo Torres, indeed, Tony was the target. Muscat intercepting. And now the Portuguese forward in numbers. Paulo Torres. Oh, a good-looking cross it was too. It eluded 2 Australians, and Paul Ocock is having a word with the referee. Mark Babbage was the man who finally put it out for a corner. So the first corner of the match with just on 7 minutes gone and no score. Paulo Torres goes down to offer a hand. But it'll be Abel to take it, swing it in, not quite cleanly away. First time try by Rui Costa, finally away by Kintner. Now here's the sweeper, Rui Bento. João Pinto, Tony. Free kick then to Portugal. Eight goals Portugal scored on the way to the semi-finals. Australia 5. But there have been some penalties in among that lot. Here's the free kick. Lost it in towards Tony. Headed away by indeed Tony, according to the referee. Babic is the man in your picture who went up for it with Tony, but it'll be a goal kick. Soros. And Orich losing out in a ring of red shirts. Forward goes Figo. Oh, lovely touch. Figo with a shot. Well blocked by Ocock. Lovely 1-2 played between Figo and João Pinto. Paulo Torres. Now Gil. And the Australians very, very exuberant in defence, making sure that the home side doesn't come too close to the Australian goal within easy shooting range. Here's the throw from Gil. In towards his striking partner, Tony, but didn't reach him, away by Ocock. Now Kintner. Maloney. On the overlap is Muscat. Maloney. Lost it in towards Seal, who heads it back. It was just a touch too far behind him. He headed it back towards Soros. And finally allowing Portugal to come away. We've had 13 minutes at the Estádio da Luz. No score. Lovely touch again from Gil. Gil and Rui Costa interchanging, and now it'll be a free kick against Australia from about just over 20 metres, I should think. And some danger for the Australian goalkeeper, Mark Bosnich, who, by the way, won the MasterCard Player of the Match Award, the Man of the Match Award, in the quarterfinal against Syria because of his fine saves, including the 2 penalty shootout saves. And that means that he will get $500 for charity. There's the free kick. And again, almost inevitably, it was Paulo Torres who ended up with the final shot, the most prolific Portuguese in goal-scoring terms in this competition. 3 goals in 4 games. Porridge. Seal. Torres. Seal again. Safe one home by Jorge Costa. And Seal hobbles away. Jorge Costa across to Peixe. Now the long ball meant for Paulo Torres. And that's the scoreline after a quarter of an hour. So, John, the first quarter of an hour has ticked away. No real change to the pattern, though.
No, still all Portugal, I think it's fair to say, Les. Australia desperately need to get something happening from the back through the middle. Seal and Soros, the 2 strikers in front, really isolated. But that, of course, is easy for us to say sitting here. They've been put up under immense pressure by what is an excellent Portuguese team and also the backing of the home crowd. But as the clock ticks by, Australia should come more and more into it, more and more confident. But at the moment, Portugal well on top.
Portugal very quick and very determined in closing down on the Australians when they enter the Portuguese half. Tony across. Here's Figo. And it's Ocon who comes away. And it'll be an Australian throw, cleverly done by the Australian skipper. 112,538 is the official crowd figure given just before kickoff. And that, I think, is the biggest crowd ever to watch an Australian soccer team in action. Forward by Figo to Tony. Figo makes space, impressive style. Jean Pinto with a shot, good save by Bosnich. I'm not sure whether it was entirely on target, but it's a good effort by Jean Pinto. Good combination between him and Figo, and good work by that goalkeeper. There's the shot, and right across his goal, covering the angle very well, Mark Bosnich. So yet another corner to Portugal, with 20 minutes gone. No score at the Estádio da Luz, and forward come the big men, including Jorge Costa, the number 6, on the near post. And it'll be Abel. No, indeed, Figo will take the corner from this side. It's a short one. Gil slips, but still manages to head it back. Lost it back inside. Now Soros. Can the Australians break quickly? Not with that kind of ball. Here's Paulo Torres. Probably the player of Portugal in this tournament so far. Bosnich comes. He's confused. Well, there was obviously some lack of communication between Bosnic and his two defenders, Popovic and Ocon, I gather, John?
Les, that is symbolic of Australia's attitude at the moment, or the way the game is going for them. They're under immense pressure. They're not spending enough time with the ball. When you see Bosnic, who's been outstanding in this tournament, and a mix-up in the defence, there's been one quality in Australia. It's been their organisation and discipline in defence, and that was a bad sign for me. But again, it's quite easy sitting up here. They're under a lot of pressure, and they need to hold on to the ball a lot longer once they gain possession.
Tony, nicely laid off for Paulo Torres. Curled away from the keeper. Now Bingley for Australia. Some very resolute work needing to be done in the centre of the Australian defence. Those corners are very difficult indeed. Paul Ocon venturing forward and losing it to Rui Bento. Jorge Costa. Abel. João Pinto, the free player, as Peixe hobbles for a moment.
I think that the talk really has to be more on the Australian boys having more confidence in themselves. They've got here by beating the European champions, who incidentally beat Portugal in the final of the European Championships. They've beaten the African champions. They've hardly put a foot wrong, and they've only done one half of their game here tonight. They've defended very well, but they've lacked confidence when on the ball. And that is easy to say, again, sitting here. It's not so easy in front of this crowd.
Jorge Costa and Gil and Tony. Good save. A copybook Portuguese move. Lovely interplay, lovely skills, awareness of each other, and a fine shot in the end. Capped, of course, by a fine save from Mark Bosnic. And Paulo Torres swinging it in this time. Punched by Bosnic. Soares chases this, but Gil is there. Short one for João Pinto. Figo across for Abel, but that screws away. And now Seal on his own against Peixe. And now it's Kintner arriving. Seal is in the middle. Kintner tries the shot. Quick counter punch by the Australians. Kintner will be disappointed at the quality of the finish. But very good work from David Seal. The counter-attack was very swift. And just a warning to the Portuguese, I suppose, that when they assemble in the Australian penalty area in such great numbers, they may have to watch themselves at the back. There's Scheinflug and Raul Blanco, need I say, on the edge of their seats. The Australians ranked 12th in the history of the World Youth Championship. Portugal ranked 10th. Here's Peixe. He's got some runners forward and to his right. Rui Costa. It's Abel choosing his left foot and forced to come back. Back for Jorge Costa. Rui Costa. Made good space and a good shot and a great goal by Rui Costa. Rui Costa bending it viciously from a good 22 meters out, and with almost a minute to go before the break, Portugal have a 1-0 lead. I don't really think the Australian keeper Mark Bosnic could have done much about that. There was a vicious swerve on it, and Johnny Warren, Rui Costa didn't need much space in order to execute one of the finest goals of the tournament.
Yes, I'd have to agree, Les. A superb goal. And from Australia's point of view, what a disastrous time to get one. They've done the hard job a minute to go to half-time, get in and sort a few things out. And that is a real setback for Australia. But what a splendid goal. A goal appreciated by any fan in football. And it has to be a good shot to beat Mark Bosnich. It was certainly that.
So the Australians on the attack as the seconds tick away towards the half-time whistle. It'll be a throw on the far side to be taken by Matthew Bingley. In fact, he leaves it now for the Aussie skipper, Paul Ocon, who's got a hefty throw on him. And as you can see, we're about to reach the 45 minutes. In comes the throw. And it'll be a free kick to Australia. To be taken by Ocon. Curled in. And all the Portuguese players were back. Gilles chasing this with Porridge. Porridge recovers very well for Australia. And the whistle's gone for the half-time interval of about 15 minutes. And the Australians, sadly from their point of view, go into the dressing room with a 0-1 deficit. The result of a brilliant goal scored by Rui Costa in the 44th minute. A different Australian team, one a lot more confident on the ball, a lot more creative and a lot more ambitious, will need to come out in the second half. But for the moment, for them it's not all over certainly, but all is well for the home side. So the half-time score here in the semi-final at the Estádio da Luz, Portugal 1, Australia 0. Is on the pitch. One wonders whether that was tactical in any way, but it's Portugal attacking the goal to our right in their familiar red and green. And that challenge from Bingley on Abel, and Abel will take the throw. Here's Tony. Letting it go out, it'll be an Australian throw. All 7 Australian substitutes were out on the park warming up, and now there are 3 of them away to our right, away from the cameras, warming up behind Mark Bosnich's goal. So Les Scheinfeld for the moment biding his time, but obviously ready to use the substitution ploy any minute. Here's Porridge. And again, wanting to find Soros, but it's Paulo Torres who comes away for Portugal. Popovic. Abel for Portugal. Abel just missing that. Here's Kintner. Australians need to come forward in greater numbers. Ocon curling it, wanting to put it into the path of Bingley. He goes on the inside rather than the outside. And it's brought away by Abel. Here's Gilles. Throw into Portugal. Ocon, Porridge. Ocon and Muscat now. Steele. Back for Maloney. Muscat. Out of play. Vigo. Abel. Vigo again. Torres. Rui Bento. And hurrying it under pressure from George Soros. It'll be a throw into Australia. In order to get to this championship, for which of course they would have qualified automatically as hosts anyway, but in the European Championship, Portugal defeated Albania and a number of other countries as we watch this attempt from Adam Porridge. Portugal defeated Albania twice, Switzerland twice, Italy once, drew with Italy once, drew with Hungary once, beat Spain once, and drew with the USSR. Before being beaten on the penalty shootout in the final of the European Championship. Paulo Torres, Figo, Jean Pinto, Figo across, Jorge Costa, Abel. The red shirts are buzzing again. Here's Figo, Gil. Now, Maloney for Australia. Steele has gone on the left, through the middle, I should say. But Maloney didn't quite look up before he delivered the pass to Kidna. Tony. Paulo Torres, good ball to Gil. Cool header back from Ocon. And Ocon's calling his men out. Push up, he said. George Costa with a header. Bounce right for Figo. Gil. Tony is in the middle. And it flies away. Tony just reaches it. And Bosnich is there. Quickly releasing Maloney on the right. Well, an inspired contribution needed from Steve Corica, whose technical abilities are renowned, and here he comes. Now Porridge swings one, and that's the first real shot on target for the Australians in the match, and hopefully will bring a more positive approach from them mentally. Adam Porridge wanting to test the keeper, in the end the ball travelling right into his arms. But a good move by Australia, that. They have to go searching for goals. There's no good defending this one out and simply not being disgraced. Paul Ocon will take the throw. And the two big men, Babic and Popovic, have come forward into the area. There it goes. But straight at Rui Bento, and now it's Soros. Ocon. Now the Portuguese can break, but Muscat arrives and loses it to Rui Bento, the sweeper who comes forward. He blocks it towards Gil. The keeper comes and grabs it comfortably. Quickly releasing Lawrence Kidna. Breaks inside. With him is Babic. Corica on the far left. Babic. Too long. Babic had to almost spoon the ball out of the way. Muscat. Good ball from Ocon for Corica. match coming to you live from the Estadio da Luz in the city of Lisbon, in front of 112,000 people, and going live to our audience in Singapore, Hong Kong, to Western Europe via Eurosport, and to all of Australia via SBS television. Gilles. Well, the thought was right. The speed was certainly right, but the finish wasn't quite there. Corica. Hill. Good try. Well, it doesn't need much, does he, John? David Seal?
Unfortunately, hasn't had enough opportunities this evening, Les. But the inclusion of Corica has changed the complexion a little bit. Australia having a better period, or their best period of the match.
Abel. Connie with a 1-2. Read by Corica. Now, as against Syria in the second half, Paul Ocon will have to get involved more in the midfield. That changed the game for Australia too in that game. Here's Bingley in for Muscat. Ocon is there. Rides one challenge and then another. Bounces off his man. Lovely work. This is more like the Australia we've seen. Sealy. Seal inside for Forrest. Well, a good Australian move. Echoing what Johnny Warren's been saying. Nice touch there. And George Soros arriving just a touch too late. The keeper did well. And now David Seal, I fancy, is going to get a booking. What a shame. The frustration coming out in David Seal. John, I don't know how you read the incident, but it's not good news for Australia. David Seal getting a yellow.
Well, it isn't. It's a sign of frustration. He hasn't had the opportunities this evening, but in his defence, the referee Poole hasn't paid him any favours. The offence has always gone the defender's way. He's been kicked on 4 occasions and getting no change at all from the referee, but really frustrated.
Easy to distinguish. One is blonde, the other's dark-haired. Jorge Costa. Figo. Good decision by the referee. Figo ran into his man. Strajanovski with his first bat. Oh, what a fine save by Brassard. Well, a lovely run by Chris Strajanovski, exhibiting some real hunger. He made the space beautifully. There was the gap. Drove it low and hard. There was even a swerve on it. And Brassard brought out the save of the match. Lovely through ball for a very speedy João Pinto. Space on his right foot, tried to play the through ball. Hidna. There's a chorus of whistles and boos now every time the Australians come into possession of the ball. Forage. Some real ambition needed by the Australians in these last 5 minutes of the match. Free kick to Australia. And all but 2 outfield players, except for the kicker of this free kick, have gone in the Portuguese penalty area. And it's just wide. It was almost a bounce off Chris Strajanovski, who can be very sharp when the goal is near, and he didn't have really the time to connect with it properly. Good free kick though. Here's Ocon. The Portuguese seem to have settled for the 1-0 for the moment. team goes into the final against Brazil. The losing team against the Soviet Union in the third place playoff on Saturday in Portugal. Ocon. Musket. Ocon again. Swinging it towards Popovic. Clock is down to 3 minutes to go. Abel to take the throw. Well, it's been a splendid tournament by these young Australians. Many felt in Sydney after seeing them against Israel in the qualifiers, Jean Pinto, the first, is the man down, that Australia didn't have the makings of doing much here, but they've done more than an Australian team has ever done in a World Championship, in the world's most important game. Jean Pinto skirting it towards his namesake, but Mark Bosnich grabs it. So as the final seconds of this match, there's just a couple of minutes to go now, under that in fact, tick away. I think one has to recognise the splendid effort. Here's Corica! Well, the Australians have not given up yet. And Corica's shot flying away. It was just a touch off balance as he executed the shot. Into the final minute, and it's still 1-0 to Portugal. At this magnificent stadium in this fabulous tournament. On a fabulous night.
Occasion for them, and they've done both their country and the game of football proud in Australia. It's not over yet, of course, but it appears that they're going to go out in the semi-final, although it is Corica now, the last chance for Australia.
Corica with a cross, headed away by one of half a dozen red shirts, and now there's all 10 Portuguese players are behind the ball. They don't want any miracles coming in green and gold now. Here's the throw from Ocon. Headed on. Babic hasn't got the space. Now look at Bosnich coming out, Rene Higuita style. Ocon. Everybody forward for Australia. We went into stoppage time. 1 minute 40 seconds by my watch. There are whistles all around from the gallery, and the whistle's gone, and Australia have been beaten in the semi-finals of the World Youth Championship for 1991. Portugal deservedly, has to say, goes into the final in what promises to be a monumental contest against the mighty Brazil on Sunday evening. The Australians will go into the third-place playoff for a rematch against the Soviet Union. The final score in the semi-final, Portugal 1, Australia 0.